Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I've been recreating meals from food diaries in the Mass Observation Archive. I'm quite excited about this week because I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. We finally got to dessert, and I'm going to make not just one but two desserts in this video. And they've both been taken from food diaries of what people were actually eating in Britain during 1941. During the war, sugar was rationed to 8 ounces a week per person, and some people told Mass Observation that the foods they most missed were sugar and sweet things. The Ministry of Food published loads of recipes to help people cope with the sugar ration, featuring reduced sugar or suggestions for sugar substitutes like adding extra dried fruit, or even using saccharin, an artificial sweetener. From looking through the food diaries, it's clear that despite sugar rationing, people are still trying to put a cake, a biscuit, or a dessert of some kind on the table. I'm making two milk-based puddings today. The Ministry of Food encouraged the use of milk for health and nutrition, especially in young children. But milk supplies were limited, and the official ration was up to 3 pints a week per person. The first pudding I'm going to make is one with a slightly suspicious name, chocolate mould, which was eaten in June 1941 by Mr. Albert Tomlinson, who's 31 years old, married, and lives in Peterborough. He's the District Secretary of the Temperance Friendly Society. A friendly society was a financial cooperative offering savings and insurance. And in this case, it's related to the temperance movement, so its members would be teetotal. Temperance was seen as encouraging longer and healthier lives. And Albert's diary is quite detailed in his menus, so I think he took a lot of care about his diet and health. When looking through the food diaries, I found lots of mentions of serving a mould or a mange, short for blancmange, as a dessert. And both of these would be some kind of jelly-like dessert set in a mould, such as one of these. Albert says he eats his chocolate mould with Allenbury cereal. Allenbury cereal I haven't been able to find, so I think it's disappeared into the realms of history, but I did find a recipe for chocolate mould in an original Ministry of Food leaflet. And it's very simple. It just consists of corn flour, sugar, a pint of milk, and cocoa. Like sugar, chocolate was a luxury during the war years. I found a rather sad note in the Mass Observation papers which had an apology about someone's chocolate not being able to reach them because of the war. So unfortunately, for the moment, all we have is store-cupboard cocoa. So I'm going to start putting together the chocolate mould. It says to mix corn flour and sugar plus a pinch of salt to a smooth paste with a little of the milk. The rest of the milk has to be brought to the boil and added into this mixture. And this is already thickening up nicely. I need to add it back into the pan, add the cocoa and bring it to the boil. And that has to cook rather volcanically for about 5 minutes or so. Now it's time to simply pour the hot mixture into the mould. The recipe suggests putting the mixture into a wetted mould, so I dampened the edges of the mould before pouring it in, and I'm guessing that will help me get it out at the end once it's set. I'm going to put this in the fridge to cool. During the war they wouldn't have had a fridge, so they probably would have had to wait a while for it to set, but I'm hoping that the fridge will help it along. While that sets, I'm throwing myself into dessert number 2, and that's another milk-based pudding with perhaps a surprising ingredient for a sweet dish. I'm making macaroni pudding as eaten by Betty Hall, a garage assistant from Norfolk, in July 1941. I'd never heard of macaroni pudding, but it appealed to me because my great-grandparents were Italian immigrants, and actually there are quite a lot of Italian sweet recipes that use pasta. The recipe I'm using is from a pre-war 1930s cookbook called The New Radiation Recipe Book. It has an alarming name, but was actually just a promotional book for cooking with new state-of-the-art gas cookers. The recipe isn't too extravagant, so I think it's okay for wartime, even though it does use 1 whole precious egg. It also uses macaroni, milk, sugar and salt. the first step is to break the macaroni into small pieces and then soak it for 1 hour in the milk. Now it's worth noting that at this time, macaroni was sometimes used as a generic name for any kind of pasta. So I've bought macaroni, but maybe they might have used any pasta shape for this. I need to leave the macaroni to soak in the milk for 1 hour. Now I need to bring the macaroni to the boil. It says to cook it until tender, but it's already got quite soft during the soaking, so I'm just going to bring it to the boil and I think it will be fine to then put it in the tin. Baked macaroni recipes can be traced back to English recipe books of the 19th century, like those by the famous Mrs. Beeton. The sweet versions of baked macaroni are very similar to rice pudding or tapioca pudding, in that they're some kind of starch baked in a milk custard in the oven. During wartime, these old Victorian puddings would provide a source of comfort and a reminder of days gone by. And of course, the great thing about them is that they're made from store cupboard ingredients, which you might have had from before the war. It's come to the boil, so before pouring it into the roasting tin, I'm going to add the sugar and a pinch of salt. The final step before putting it into the oven is to add a beaten egg. And the recipe says to add this once the mixture's been poured into the dish, so that's what I'm going to do. I found lots of mentions of mass observation writers eating various baked puddings, whether it's rice pudding, tapioca pudding or macaroni pudding. And an interesting thing that Betty says about new foods that she's been trying is rice as a savoury. And I wondered if this is because she's only been used to it as a sweet pudding before. It says to cook the macaroni pudding on regulo setting Mark 1 for 40 minutes. I think that's modern day gas Mark 1. That's about 140 Celsius in my electric oven. I'm not sure if 40 minutes is going to be enough in such a low oven, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. While the macaroni pudding's cooking, the chocolate mould has been setting. It's got a little quiver and I'm going to try and get it out now. I'm going to put a plate on top and hope for the best. I think it needs a little help. Woo! It's set, but it's got that classic jelly wobble. I love it. The macaroni pudding's finished as well, so I'm going to get that out of the oven. Now it's time for my double dessert tasting. I'm not sure which one of these looks the most appetising. I'm going to go with this one first. It looks a bit like scrambled egg. I would say that's mildly sweet, a bit milky, quite stodgy. I think if you were making this in modern times, you'd probably add some vanilla or something to the custard. But the pasta sort of works, I guess, in a similar way to rice pudding, but it's quite gelatinous, a bit like how I expect this is going to taste. I think that's actually my favourite out of the two. I've heard and read a bit about these cornflour based desserts and things like blancmange, and I know they're much hated, but actually this is really not bad. It almost tastes a little bit like chocolate desserts that we used to get at school. I quite like the way it kind of melts in the mouth. It's not powdery at all, which I thought it might be because of the corn flour. And I really like the fun wobble when it came out of the mould. So that's two sweet wartime desserts brought back to life from 1941. Chocolate mould, as eaten by Albert Edward Tomlinson, and macaroni pudding, as eaten by Betty Hall and recorded in their mass observation food diaries.